Hafaday, Guahu C. Lucas, Luke S. Luke space S, and if you want to get fancy with it, you can make the E backwards. And I am from Guam. I grew up on the island of Guam. And if you see me play with the boys on the regular Thursday nights, and in fact, most of the time, I'm going to play my song, South of Saipan. And I wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about what South of Saipan is lyrically. And because it makes sense that maybe a lot of my friends in the Peoria area might not exactly know. First of all, where the hell is Saipan? And where the hell am I from? Well, Saipan is to the north of the island chain known as the Marianas Islands, named by colonial Spain in the 16 or 1700s, and that runs along the Marianas Trench, which is the biggest hole in the world and the most unexplored region of the world currently. So Saipan is to the north, but it's not the northernmost island. Most of the islands north of Saipan are active volcanoes and typically very small. But the island chain continues to run north for a couple hundred miles or so. And Saipan is the most populous of the Marianas Islands outside of Guam. And Saipan is part of the Northern Mariana Islands, which is a separate government entity than the government of Guam, which is its own self-contained territory. Anybody keeping track at this point, all of these are territories and commonwealth that fall under the jurisdiction of the United States government and purview of the United States government. So feel free to comment with any questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions about political status and how we feel about political status and how other people besides how me and my friends feel about political status too, because there are contrary opinions across the board. But that being said, I'm 3 minutes in or so rambling about geographically where Guam is. So the chorus is, we sailing south from Saipan. We flew up there and now we sailing back down to my home island. Pretty self-explanatory, right? I got on a plane, got to Saipan, got on a boat. Which is what happened during my spring break year in sixth grade. So that's how I spent my spring break, sixth grade, is sailing between Saipan and Guam. We talk about the first stop you would see, the first island you would see leaving Saipan right across the channel is the island of Tinian. Now, Tinian has a varied history. It has importance to United States history in that it's the launching pad that ended World War II in the Pacific, unfortunately. Aside from that, it is culturally very important because it houses the largest known laddie stones left to still exist. I say left to still exist because I believe that the Spanish took all of them from Guam to build their fancy palaces. But I digress. But anyway, so the House of Taga is what is mentioned. So the lyric in the first verse is, first stop is Tinian, but we were just there for a couple of hours. just long enough to pay our respects to the House of Taga. So when I wrote that, why I wrote that was reflective of growing up in a Chamorro culture. Um, there is a lot of emphasis, as you can imagine, in an indigenous environment to have a lot of respect for the elders. We are taught to ask permission to, go to the bathroom in the jungle when we're far from home, to make sure that the spirits of the ancestors, known as the Tatamona, don't get mad. And so there's a lot of emphasis on paying respects to your elders and your ancestors when you are in that environment. So just having that verse and talking about the ancient site and paying respects is my little way of having, first of all, I'm going to write about Marianas culture, Guam culture, Chamorro culture, but I am not a Chamorro myself. And so there has to be a set emphasis that this is of respect to this culture that helps mold me. So the first thing we do in the song is pay respect to the culture. Then the second verse, we pay respect to our current culture. So the second verse is, then we get to Rhoda, and the fiesta is already gone. And then they spark some songy. Don't you know, Rhoda buds are mind blowing. So the current culture is we definitely celebrate fiestas. That has been a staple my whole life. I don't know too many people that ever starved on Guam or Rhoda or Saipan. Tinian. Because it's not hard to get somebody to hand you a plate anywhere you go. And a couple of other things that get touched on. Marianas music legend J.D. Crutch wrote a song called Rhoda Buds, which is one of my favorites of his. And I gotta tell you, man, the first time I ever smoked Rhoda weed, it was pretty damn good. And the guy that got it for me came running to the car to yelling, "Rhoda Buds, man!" I was about 18 years old, and you know, legal weed's great, but you don't find shit like that no more. Then the last verse is, then we get to Boat Basin, and the boys, they're waiting. Because when you live in paradise, every day is worth celebrating. And that's obviously a tribute to, if you know me from Guam, I used to hang out at this place called Kasanami, and that was a surfer pub. That's where they let me entertain people. They let me get up and sing with a lot of different bands. I learned a lot of stuff from a lot of people that were smarter than me. But when I got to Guam on my first trip since I moved here, my first night, I get a message from one of them old surfer boys. And he might be watching, so he knows who he is. And he said, "Hey, brother, I get off work at 5 o'clock. I'll be in Hagåtña." I got something for you. And so I knew exactly what that meant. I knew that meant to go to Boat Basin, even though Hagåtña is our capital village, and it's not a small place, but I knew where he'd be. And I pulled up right at 5 o'clock, and he's sitting there on the bleachers. The sun was going to come down in a couple hours, and and he handed me a big old baggie. Said, "Welcome home," and me and the boys sat there, had some beers, and so I wrote that verse especially for the Boat Boys as a whole, but three guys in particular that I spent that day with, and how they welcomed me home. I immediately texted Roy Ponce from that spot and sent him a picture of my beer, looking out on the bay, and said, "Wish you were here, brother," or something like that. And he's probably like, "Yeah." But that is the story of South of Saipan. It is a song I wrote for my father and a tribute to the adventures that we used to have. So I hope that helps you understand why that song always gets played. Other than when those guys play it, it's a jam. So thank you for listening. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for everybody that always encourages me. I don't take it lightly, and I try to bring the smoke every time, so that you guys have a good time. And it's just a matter of point of pride sometimes. Thank you all for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this little talk about where I'm from and my culture and the culture that raised me. It's maybe technically not my culture. Depends on who you ask. There's some people that will tell me, even if I live there for 40 years, that I'm not truly from Guam, and there's other people that will tell that guy to fuck off. So thank you so much. Saduos Maasi, Maraming Salamat Po, and that's a political ad joke for those of you here. Thank you, guys.
But we were there. Sails out from Saipan. Sailing down from Saipan. Up there we headed to my home. What's up with skin? is what it